watching from. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and for today we are discussing the use of flexbox in web pages. So flexbox are actually structures in CSS that helps us to structure web pages so that there can be easy alignment and modification or spacing between items in the content. So for our case study, we have a web page, a home page actually, that contains some flex boxes that links to other websites. So let's take a look at the home page and see how everything is structured using flexbox features of CSS. So this is actually the home page of the website that we have, and you can realize that there are some images that if you click on, you can get to a different web page, and all this is made possible by the use of flexbox using anchor tags actually. So the flexbox are embedded in the anchor tags, so clicking on all these images will link you to a different website, and this is made possible by the use of the flexbox and anchor tags that I'm discussing. So let's move to our home page codes and see how we made this possible. So let me move to my Visual Studio Code. Alright, so these are the set of codes we have for our home page, and let's go through it. So as usual, for the structure of any HTML page, we have the doctor declaration, the head, and the body, and the HTML as well. So, and also in the head we have the style tag, which contains all our CSS codes. Alright, so moving to the body, for the sake of our home page, I used 3 divisions. As known, we have the header, main, and the footer. So as you can see from the home page here, you can realize that there's a header. You see the light blue color there indicates the header. Then we have our main body, and for the footer, I just included 2 buttons here which operates at the footer section. So let's move to the code one by one and see what it has to offer us. Alright, so for the header, we have a paragraph in it known as the site 123, and for this site 123, actually you are seeing here, I've included a span. A span is actually a modification or an abstraction of a CSS that helps us to design an item from a group. You get me? So it's something like we are taking a smaller section of a content and designing it to suit your web page. So looking at site 123, you can see I've applied span 1 as the class name for 123, and this span 1 actually what it's doing here is just to bolding. So you can see from here the CSS code that font weight is bolder, and referring to our page here, you can see that 123 here has been bolded. That's the use of the span. It just selects a few out of the numerous and tries to design them. Alright, so moving forward, we have our buttons here, and all these buttons that we have here are grouped into the header in main. This is because this is the main content actually, but I've included a header and a main inside the main again. So I named this class as header in main just to contain all these buttons, and all these buttons have been named with class as same because from the look of the page here, they are very similar. Apart from their length, they are very similar. Every CSS code applied here are the same. So you can realize that when the pointer is brought to the box or the button, it turns into a pointer, a finger pointing. So this is made possible by also the use of a property called the hover. So this hover is actually making the cursor turn into a finger pointer. So the class name as same, you bring a colon and hover to make the cursor like that. So continuing with our set of codes, as the header has been included in the main again, we have our main section here where we see the writings that we saw in the page. So this also brings us down to our main and our center of discussion for today. That's the flexbox. The flexbox is actually grouped into a main container, and this main container, what it does is actually to hold all the flexbox, because we apply a CSS property known as the flex in the flex direction. So that governs the flex boxes, the main container. So you can see from our CSS code here that our container here, the display type is flex and the flex direction is column. You get me? All right. So now into the flex box, we have two tags there known as the anchor tag and the image tag. You realize that it is the images that we click on to move to a new page. So taking this for example, if we click on this page, this link, it brings us to this a full web page on its own. Also doing the same for the second link here, clicking on this will move us to this website. That's our second. And also this one moves us to a new web page. So all these anchors have images embedded in them, and these images are serving as links to other or different sites. So to explain this further, the anchor tag consists of H reference, and the H reference here, what it does is to store the file name for the file you want the browser to locate to jump to your next web browser. So by doing this, you also have to create the file. So you can see site 1 here, site 2, site 3, site 4, site 5. All these sites here have been created so that the browser can be able to communicate with your machine to locate them on your local machine. You get me? So inside the anchor, we have the image, and the image here actually is just to contain the SRC and the auth. The SRC is just the URL or the exact path location for where your image is being stored. For my case, I've downloaded all my images. So you can see from this folder that all my images are here. We have the site 1 images, site 2 images, everything is located here. So I copy path and paste in the SRC attribute so that it can be pasted in the web browser. For instance, let's look at the first website we have here. All these images you are seeing here are being stored in my folder, and I make the browser allocate it through the SRC here. And the auth, what the auth does is just to make a replacement in case the browser does not see or is not able to find the picture you want to display. That's what it does there actually. So moving forward, you can see all our boxes, our flex boxes. There are 5, all embedded in the container. So for the last part of this page, we have the footer, and what this footer actually does is just the bottom section of the page. But for my case, I included the footer in the main because of these 2 buttons I wanted to include here. So here we have the 2 buttons here, design and the question mark button. So you can realize that when we scroll down, these 2 buttons do not move. This is because I applied the display type to be fixed. It's fixed at one point and it doesn't move. So that's how we go about this. And let's brush through the CSS codes for this page actually. So these are the basic CSS codes that I applied here. So we have the color. The color describes the texts or the color of the text you want, and the font width actually gives the opacity of the text, whether you want it to be bolder, thin, light, or the way you prefer it to be, with the same font size. Text align center aligns all text. or you can align images to the center of your web page. Then gap here, you can realize that all the images here are being separated by gaps because of the gap that we use in the CSS. And also the padding left, padding right, padding bottom, padding top, these ones also help us to shift borders from surrounding text. For example, this button here, we apply the padding left here, padding up, padding right, and padding bottom to shift the text from the borders and make the box appear more bigger, or the button appear bigger. So that's all we do. That's basically the CSS I applied in the home page. So the display type as a container here, already we talked about it, that is flex, and the direction is following the column pattern. So the border color gives the surrounding color the type of color you want to use, not the text. So all these are the basic CSS styles we use, and let's move to the individual web pages. So you can see this is the header, the main, and the footer. So this trend follows throughout all the 5 websites. Realize that here too we have our header, the main, and the footer. Okay, and you also realize that in this one too we have our header, the main, and the footer. Same applies to our last website too. We have our main, header, and footer. So that's all about it. So going back to our codes, we realize this for site 1, and for the website 1, as usual, our CSS codes are embedded in the style tag, and we apply basic styles like the display type, the flex, the gap, border color. The border color gives your box or your button its border, the color. So we also have background color, the background of where your text is, the color you want it to be, your font size, padding left, then what have you. So to the main the main HTML codes, we have the header, the main, and the footer. So the footer always concludes the web pages, and so for all these HTML codes I have here, is basically the head, paragraph, divs, and image, and maybe some anchor tags. That's all the tags I use for this, and some breaks. Normally, to save time with CSS, I use breaks in the HTML codes just to avoid going to use margin left, margin top, and those things. So that's actually what we have here. This is the second site. Same structure, header, footer, and the main. Site 3, the same site. So this is actually how we can link flexboxes to anchors to build a web page or a group of web pages. Thank you very much.